We're about to dive into a quest, but not for some ancient treasure. This is a journey to understand a really unsettling idea about power. The idea that the people you think are your greatest allies might actually be your most dangerous enemies, just waiting. And it's a lesson that's been written in blood, time and time again. So you've got this Roman historian, Tacitus, writing this almost 2,000 years ago, and man, does it set the stage for us. He's basically saying that gratitude, it's heavy. It feels like a debt you have to carry. And a lot of times, people would rather just get rid of that debt than feel like they owe you something. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we start our first story. All right, so our journey begins in the middle of the 9th century. We're following a young man on a desperate quest. He's not looking for gold or for new lands. He's looking for something way more valuable and a whole lot harder to find: real, unconditional loyalty. I mean, really try to put yourself in Michael's shoes for a second. He's just been made emperor, but he's young, he's got no experience. His own mother's been sent away, her lover's been murdered. The whole court is just a snake pit of ambitious schemers who would do anything for power. He desperately needs an anchor, someone he can trust, who has his back no matter what. And he finds this person in the absolute most unlikely of places, a guy named Basilius, a simple peasant who works with horses. And why him? Well, because Basilius once saved Michael's life in this heroic moment, and that created this incredible bond. So Michael just showers him with gifts, with power, he pays for his education. In Michael's mind, the logic was perfect. A man who owes you literally everything has to be the most loyal man in the world, right? Well, it turned out to be a fatal mistake. So, against the advice of pretty much everyone who all suggested more qualified, more experienced men, Michael makes his choice. He bets his entire kingdom on friendship and gratitude and makes Basilius his number 2. And with that one decision, the tragedy begins. And here's where the story takes a really dark turn. This whole quest for a loyal friend, it ends with Michael creating something else entirely. He's about to find out what the real price of all that kindness was. What's really wild when you look at this is just how fast it all happens. Every single step up that ladder for Basilius is a gift from Michael. But instead of making him more loyal, each gift just seems to fuel this ambition that's growing inside of him. He becomes a counselor, then he becomes an assassin to take out Michael's rivals, and then, finally, a usurper. The very power that Michael gave him to protect the throne becomes the weapon he uses to steal it. And this is it. This is the moment everything flips. Michael, who's now in a tough spot financially, asks his so-called best friend for a simple favor. Hey, can you pay me back that loan? And Basilius doesn't just say no. He gives him this look, a look of pure, shocking defiance. And in that one instant, Michael sees the horrifying truth of what he's done. So here's the crucial thing to understand. Michael's generosity didn't create a grateful friend. It created an entitled rival. Basilius started to see all of his success not as a gift from the emperor, but as something he had earned himself. The gratitude became this burden he had to get rid of. And the only way to truly erase that debt was to erase the man who gave it to him in the first place. But what if there was another way to play this? Let's switch gears and look at a different emperor who had the exact same problem, a throne surrounded by people he should trust who were really just wolves waiting. But his quest was for total control, and his strategy was the complete opposite of Michael's. Okay, so welcome to 10th century China and the court of Emperor Sung. He knows that the very same generals who helped him get the throne are the ones most likely to try and take it from him. He has to secure his power, but how do you do that without kicking off another huge, bloody civil war? His plan is just genius. He invites them all to a big banquet, gets them comfortable, and then he dismisses all the guards. Can you imagine the tension in that room? The generals must have thought they were about to be executed. But instead of threatening them, Sung says their secret desire out loud. I know one of you wants to be emperor. And then he offers them an escape. A deal they can't possibly refuse. Give up your armies, and I'll give you a life of unbelievable wealth and peace. But he didn't just neutralize his friends. He took it a step further. Sung absolutely mastered the art of turning his most dangerous enemies into his biggest supporters, using a weapon that's as surprising as it is powerful. It's funny, it reminds me of that famous Abraham Lincoln quote, "You don't always destroy an enemy by crushing them. Sometimes the most powerful way to do it is to win them over, completely." And that is exactly what Sung did. And you can see his method in action right here. A defeated king is terrified his wine is poisoned. So Sung just laughs and drinks from the cup himself to prove there's no threat. And that king becomes a loyal friend for life. Later, he finds out another rival is plotting against him. Does he execute him? No. He honors him in public and quietly returns the proof of the plot. That single act of generosity buys him a loyalty that fear never could. Think about it. A former enemy you choose to spare is going to be way more grateful than a friend who feels entitled to your help. Okay, so these are more than just a couple of cool stories from history. They're actually powerful lessons in human psychology that we can absolutely use today. So let's break down what we can actually learn from these two very different quests. First, we have to really get a handle on this idea of ingratitude. It's not just about someone forgetting a nice thing you did for them. It's about that favor starting to feel like an oppressive weight, a constant reminder that they needed your help. So to feel free, people will literally rewrite history in their own heads and start to believe they earned everything that was given to them. That's exactly what Basilius did. And this is why mixing work and friendship is so dangerous. Your friends will often hide their flaws from you just to keep things smooth. Hiring them creates this weird power dynamic that can breed resentment. And at the end of the day, in any professional situation, what you really need isn't a good friend. It's someone who is skilled and competent. So the bottom line here is to keep those worlds separate. Cherish your friends, absolutely, for being your friends. But when it comes to your work, your goals, your ambitions, you need to choose your partners based on their ability, not on your personal connection to them. And what about enemies? Well, this is the counterintuitive part. These stories show us they can actually be an untapped gold mine. A former enemy that you bring over to your side will be desperate to prove their new loyalty. And even if they stay your opponent, they serve a super important purpose. They keep you sharp. They keep you focused. It's just way too easy to get complacent when you don't have a rival. Which leaves us with one last thing to think about. We spend so much of our lives trying to find comfort and avoid conflict. But maybe, just maybe, a worthy opponent is actually one of our greatest assets because they force us to be the absolute best version of ourselves. So the question you have to ask is this: are you really focused in pushing yourself? Or have you just gotten a little too comfortable?